Are you going to be better than you were last year? Are you going to be worse than you were last year? Is your record going to be the exact same as it was last year? Well, I was thinking about that, and I got 4 teams at least to start off with that we drew out of the hopper. Ping pong balls came out, and these are some of the teams that we're thinking about right now. And I'm talking about your record in the regular season, okay? So, like, take LSU. Let's just start off with them. LSU was an 8-4 team last year in the regular season. Their over-under win total, for what it's worth, is 8.5 at FanDuel right now. Is that team going to be better or worse than they were last year? Or are they going to stay the same? I lean better. If I'm betting money on this, and full disclosure, I have a little bit with LSU, I'm going to bet a little bit better. So it's all because of the number 1 portal class. I am a big believer that if you erase that portal class or you just shave it down a little bit, this team would be in big trouble this year. But I don't think they are because they did that. Now, everyone's going to look at Nussmeier, rightfully so. And everyone's going to zoom in on the continuity at quarterback in a world and in a year where there's not a lot of that outside of Baton Rouge. And that's valid. The reason I would be to the net up on LSU in relation to last year is because, well, I get Blake Baker in his second year as defensive coordinator with better ingredients in the kitchen. It's really what it comes down to. I got faith in him. Now, we know LSU cannot win a Week 1 game to save their lives. So let's say they lose at Clemson. I would still slightly lean that they finish better than last year's record. It would help, if they mess around and accidentally win against Clemson, well, then watch out. But I know a lot of people who are baking in a Clemson loss and also predicting a good year for LSU. I think they're going to be okay at offensive tackle. I know that's going to be thrown around a lot as people start getting closer and they look at the projected starting lineups. I'm okay with them. I think I'm okay with them at tackle. So I'm going to go better than 8-4 regular season for LSU. Now, the next one I cannot do better on, at least. Colorado was 9-3 last year. Phenomenal year. Just unbelievable year. They went over by like 4 or 5 games or something like that. So their over-under win total 6.5 coming into this year. I can't bet Colorado to be better than 9-3. I got to lean that they're worse. They could overachieve and be a couple of games worse than they were last year. It's just who's starting at quarterback? Is Caden Salter starting for him at quarterback? That's the best guess around here right now. Shedeur saved them so much. When I'm trying to think forward about how you're going to look, I don't try and dwell on the past, but I do think about the past as any sane person would. So when I think about Colorado in the past, Shedeur Sanders is obviously playing quarterback for him, but I am thinking about not just his production, but him running for his life, his off-schedule production, if you will. In other words, the plays that were made that weren't drawn up on a piece of paper. They were just broken down play. You got a phenomenal athlete there, and he makes something out of nothing. Well, you don't have another version of him there. And secondly, you're relying on the portal again, and you just got to keep hitting. And I haven't even mentioned the Heisman Trophy winner in Travis Hunter. So you lose all that. You're already in a highly volatile league in the Big 12. Well, what that means is 9-3 is never far away from 5-7 in a league like that. And so, you could fall off to 5-7 and not really have fallen off all that much production-wise. So what happens if you actually do fall off significantly production-wise? So Colorado, I'd have to go worse than 9-3. Miami's a tough one for me. So Miami was 10-2 last year. Miami goes 10-2 a season ago. They have the number 1 overall pick in the draft at quarterback in Cam Ward. How do they do better than that? I would have to slightly lean worse for Miami. Their over-under win total is 9.5. So, it's a very slight lean to the under for me. It's a very slight lean at worse than 9-2. The wide receiver room's got to pan out. Hey, quick timeout. Check and see if you're subscribed to the channel. If you're not, make sure you do. It's free. It doesn't obligate you or sign you up for anything. It just helps us keep the channel free. All right, back to the show. If you were to promise me the wide receiver room pans out, then they got a good shot at going 10-2 or better. Heatherman, the new defensive coordinator, I trust he'll have an impact, a positive impact there. Is it an eventual impact or is it a glaringly immediate impact? Like they play Notre Dame in week 1. Is it immediately obvious that, that's a different squad defensively? Well, if it is, then again, forget about what I'm saying. That's a 10-2 or better team. But But the other thing to think about, in the interest of just comparing records year over year, you, in a lot of cases, are what your schedule says you are in this sport. Well, they're out of conference is no joke. They open against Notre Dame. They've got Florida in here. Both of those games are at home, but they play both of them. And then I keep going back to the way they finish the season. You guys can say whatever you want to say about the ACC strength of schedule. Like, no, it doesn't measure up to the Big Ten or the SEC by and large, but notice Florida State here, right there. If you're, it's tough. I feel like I'm on a green screen. They play Florida State on October 4th. Big deal, okay? But notice they have a bye week before Florida State. Also, big deal. They've got one after they play Florida State. In the interest of sabotaging Miami, the ACC schedule maker said, we're going to give you both of your bye weeks in a 3-week stretch. Then what we're going to do is we're going to have you play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 consecutive games to end the year. Oh, by the way, if that's not enough, you're going back-to-back road games to finish that 7 games in a row stretch. Oh, by the way, you're from Coral Gables. Let's send you to Blacksburg and Pittsburgh in late November. And if you get through all that, you get to go on the road for a 3rd straight week to go to the ACC championship game. Have fun. Little butt pat there, immunity. Have fun. So because of those things, yeah, if I had to bet, I'd slightly lean worse than 10-2 for Miami. Now, you'll notice I've been brave. So far, I haven't gone same record. That is because I knew we were coming to Notre Dame, who Miami opens with. Notre Dame went 11-1 last year. Better this year would mean undefeated. So I'm not going better. But you know what? I'm not going worse either. I'm pretty high on Notre Dame. So I got them right around that same caliber. Notice, I'm not saying go to the national title game. I'm just talking about the regular season record. Whatever happens in the playoff is whatever happens. They're in a good spot because they accomplished a lot last year, but they maintained the hunger. You know, they had a nice regular season. They also lost to Northern Illinois. So you've got that you got that whole, tension in the shoulders, looking over them constantly. You can't rest on your laurels, can't take anything for granted. You also lost in the national title game, so you can pound in your guys' heads. They didn't accomplish anything. You've got a new quarterback. So I don't think complacency is an issue up there whatsoever. And it's a 3-game season in terms of teams that'll line up across from them that can come close to matching them athletically. That doesn't mean that they couldn't lose at Boston College. That doesn't mean they couldn't go to Arkansas and lose. But if they do that, it's a legit upset. They go to Miami week 1. That's a very athletically competitive game. They've got A&M coming in there. That's a very, very athletically competitive game. And they've got USC the 18th of October. And I don't know, man. I think it could be a really, really good team. And so for that reason, I'm sticking right there around that 11-1 mark. Their over-under win total is 10.5. I'm going same. I limit myself to one same record per 4 teams. I'm going same record for Notre Dame.